This is From Now On. I'm Lisa Phillips. Just a heads up, this episode contains discussions of childhood sexual abuse and sex trafficking. Some may find it upsetting. We encourage you to take care of yourself. Imagine for a moment being a child again, a world of innocence, trusting everyone, and make-believe. A world where every adult seems larger than life, a protector. Now imagine that trust being shattered by the very person who's supposed to keep you safe. This is the dark reality of childhood sexual abuse. It's not just a violation of your little body, it's a theft of innocence, trust, and safety that can never be fully restored. Children who endure this kind of abuse often have no words to describe what's happening to them. They're too young to understand it, too small to fight back, and too terrified to tell anyone. What's worse is the sinister nature of these predators. These men, and yes, overwhelmingly, it is men, aren't just abusers. They are calculated monsters. They groom, manipulate, and prey on the most vulnerable amongst us for their own twisted gratification. And they know exactly what they're doing. They know they are breaking something in that little child that can never truly heal. For the survivors, the torment doesn't end when the abuse stops. Childhood sexual abuse isn't just an event, it's a life sentence. Survivors grow up carrying a weight they don't understand. They may feel shame, guilt, and anger without even knowing why. Some will repress the memories entirely, their minds shielding them from the horror, only for it to resurface years later, triggered by a scene in a movie, a news story, or a conversation they overhear. And when those memories return, they do so with devastating force. Survivors often struggle with depression, anxiety, trust issues, and even self-destructive behaviors like addiction, promiscuity, or self-harm. Relationships become battlegrounds where intimacy is fraught with fear. The scars of what was stolen from them cut deep, and those scars never fully fade. The statistics are staggering, not only shocking to me, but infuriating. According to the CDC, 1 in 4 girls and 1 in 13 boys in the United States experience sexual abuse before the age of 18. But those numbers only scratch the surface. So many children never come forward. They're silenced by threats, manipulation, or simply the inability to process what happened to them. And what makes this form of abuse so uniquely cruel is that children don't know how to understand it. Unfortunately, a lot of the times they think it's their fault, or even convinced that it's normal. Actually, they may not even realize they've been abused until much later in life when they finally hear someone else's story. For some, it's a scene on TV, a child telling a trusted adult about an abuser, that makes them stop and think, that happened to me too. For others, it's the courage of another survivor sharing their truth that cracks open the floodgates of memory. But here's the thing. Survivors don't need pity. They need justice, they need support, and they need us as a society to call this what it is, a monstrous, calculated crime that destroys lives. So how do we fight this? How do we protect our children from the predators hiding in plain sight? First, we have to talk about it. Silence is the weapon predators rely on. Teach children from an early age about boundaries and that their bodies belong to them. Let them know it's okay to say no, and they can always come to you no matter what. Second, pay attention. Look for the signs. Sudden changes in behavior, withdrawal, fear of certain people or places. Don't ignore your gut instinct if something doesn't feel right. Finally, we must demand accountability. The justice system must treat childhood sexual abuse as the heinous crime that it is. Predators don't deserve leniency. They deserve to be stopped permanently. To the survivors listening, you are not broken. You are not defined by what happened to you, and what was done to you is not your fault. You deserve healing, love, and a life free from the shadow of your past. And to the rest of us, it's on us to ensure no child ever has to endure this. Look, I know we can't undo the past, but we can fight like hell to protect the future of our children. Today's guest is a thriving business owner, a loving wife, a caring friend, and a devoted mother. She is also a survivor. She faced the unimaginable, suffering abuse of the hands of those who were supposed to love and protect her, her neighbor, her mother, her father, and even her sister. The scars of familial sex trafficking can run deep, but Cindy has shown us that survival is only the beginning. She is living proof that healing is possible, and her strength is a testament to the power of the human spirit. Cindy's journey does not end with her survival. She has taken it upon herself to shine a light on the dark reality of familial sex trafficking, a subject that is often surrounded by silence. I am so grateful today to welcome Cindy Lay to From Now On. Welcome, Cindy.
Hi.
Hi. So today we're going to talk a little bit about what happened to you when you were a child, but I would love to know a little bit more about you. What were your goals, your ambitions when you were younger? How many siblings did you have?
When I was younger, I wanted to be everything. I wanted to be the teacher, the doctor, I wanted to be everything, you know?
Yeah.
I was the youngest of four.
Youngest of four. Okay.
Yes.
You were the baby.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
I was spoiled a lot.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
That's good.
Yeah.
Should always spoil babies.
Yeah. I got retaliation a little bit from my siblings. They would like fight me in the back and, you know.
Are you still really close with your siblings?
No, no, I don't talk to any of them.
Growing up, did you have a good relationship with your mother?
I tried. I tried, but she's just very cold. She's a very cold person, and I understand now that comes from her being hurt as a little girl. But no, I remember that I would always try to ask her, like, how was your childhood? What was it like after the war? What was the war about? Even basic questions, you know. And she would just shut down. She wouldn't talk to us. And it was weird because she was so nice to everyone in the world. But when it came to us, it was like, nope, you're my child. Listen to me, obey. I think when you have a single parent, you kind of have to accept them as they are because you don't have anyone else.
When did your parents divorce?
My parents were on and off.
Okay.
My dad and her's relationship was very rocky. And I think now being married and kind of reflecting on a lot of it, I think she pushed him away a lot. And he wasn't a great guy either, but it was a lot of conflict. There was a lot of headbutting and there wasn't any harmony or synergy. There was just just fighting.
So it was very chaotic.
All the time. It was so chaotic, yeah. It was.
And did she end up remarrying?
She remarried my stepdad.
Okay. How old were you then?
When they met, I was maybe 12.
12, okay.
12. And he was a great guy. He was working all the time, though. They didn't work out. He lives with me to this day. It's great. He's a great guy, and yeah.
So you had said that your family was dealing with some financial issues. Could you tell me a little bit about that?
When my mom first moved here from Vietnam, she was dirt broke.
Okay.
And from my understanding, this is like stories and snippets I've pieced together from my stepdad.
Okay.
You have to understand, growing up, my mom didn't talk to us. She did not want us to know anything about her.
Okay.
So
she was like mysterious about her background and what happened to her.
Very mysterious, yeah. And when I started living with my stepdad, I was like, you got to tell me about her because I'm very lost here.
Right.
And of course, them dating, she opened up so much to him. And so he told me bits and pieces. He opened up about, you know, when she moved here, she had nothing. And so my neighbor across the street, you know, helped her out. It was a husband and wife.
Okay.
And they helped her out and gave her food, took care of us 4 kids. And somewhere along the line, you know, he offered her $6,500 just to get by.
Okay.
And I was, you know, offered to him and as a way of paying back her debt.
So she negotiated this deal with your neighbor?
Yeah.
Okay.
I don't know whether it was with the wife or the husband, but they knew all about it. all
Right.
along.
Did you understand it when you were a child what the deal was?
No,
No,
I had
okay.
to find this out 11 years later from a
Mhm.
detective.
Mhm.
And so my understanding is they initially gave her 3,500 good
Okay.
faith deposit.
Okay.
And so he would pick me up every Friday from
Okay.
school. We would hang out.
Mhm.
That night, he would do all sorts of things to me.
Mhm.
And I found out later that, he would drug me. He would make
Mhm.
chili hot dogs and
Mhm.
he would drug it with something.
Mhm.
Now I know that something was acid.
How old were you at the time when you first started going over there?
So I looked at the police report and I guess it started at 8 and
Mhm.
stopped at 10. So
Okay.
2 years
Mhm.
of abuse. Yeah.
Okay. So he was married at the time,
He was married and
and the wife knew? Did you ever see her around when you went over there?
I never saw her
Okay, she
around.
wasn't around.
But
Okay.
they told everyone in the neighborhood that they were married and they
Okay.
were this happy couple. And
So that was just the facade that he was a married man. But every time you went over on the weekends, there was no woman
no,
there.
no.
Okay. What happened the first time that you went over? Because this must have happened gradually, right?
Right,
So
right.
what was the first thing? He was just hanging out with you?
Well, so it
How did
started
the whole
off,
grooming start?
yeah, it started off with like I was playing outside. He would watch me and the neighborhood kids and he would be like, "Hey, do you want a glass of water?" And
Mm-hmm.
my mom didn't really teach me about stranger danger.
Right.
Um, and that was a tricky part too, because he would come over
Yeah, he
and
was your neighbor and you knew that your mother knew him.
yeah, so
So that
he's like,
makes
"Do you
sense.
want a glass of water?" And I'm
Mm-hmm.
like, "Sure." So that happened, and then he would hang out with my mom. He would hang out longer. My mom
Mm-hmm.
would come over, hang out longer.
Mm-hmm.
And at one point, he was like, "Why doesn't Cindy sleep over?"
Mm-hmm.
And my mom was like, "Sure." It was very odd. Later on, I asked her about it, and she said she just had to find work. She had to keep making money in the house. She needed a
Right.
babysitter,
Mm-hmm.
but it still doesn't answer why I was the only child.
How old was this man?
He was in his 50s.
50s?
Yeah, yeah. I remember because one day I was like hanging out and I was looking at his ID and I was like, huh, so that would make you 50.
Are you kidding me?
Oh,
50
yeah,
years old?
yeah,
And you were 8?
yeah.
I didn't know that he was that age. I was thinking he was like in his 20s or
I
something. Not
mean,
that that's okay at all.
no, but I can see where older makes it worse.
Well, it's all bad, but 50 years old,
Yeah.
it just infuriates me what a 50-year-old is doing having sleepovers with an 8-year-old.
Well, that's kind of the frustrating part because I
And
don't
why
know.
your mother, your own mother, who's the person who's supposed to protect you, would let you go.
I just don't understand why no one questioned it.
Yeah.
Not the police, not my mom, not my
Well,
sisters, not the neighbors.
the police didn't get involved till years later,
Right,
right? So
right,
during that time frame, let's just take the first year.
right,
Who
right.
who knew about it that you were going over to a 50-year-old
Everyone in the family,
man's
so all
house?
my siblings and my mom,
Mm-hmm.
his wife. I would ask my mom, why is this happening? And she would just never talk to me. And I'm supposed to accept it because,
Did you ever say, "Mom, like he's touching me"? And
yeah, I remember telling her one time and she kind of dismissed it. And he came over that day to pick me up. And I just remember running in the room and she was like, "Cindy, Tony's here." And I'm like, "I
mm-hmm.
don't want to go." And
Mm-hmm.
she's like, "No, Tony's here. You got to go." you
Okay, so
know?
your mom would make you go.
Yeah, because work was so important to her.
Mm-hmm.
Making $20 was so important to
Mm-hmm.
her.
Mm-hmm. No matter and how it affected you.
She loves money. Like, it's very weird. She'll do a lot for $1.
And she never did anything like that with your siblings that you know of?
I know in the police report, the officer questioned my sister. Yeah, she was 16 at the time.
Oh,
So
okay.
she was paraphrasing like 3 years
Okay.
before. But she said something like, he would offer her rides and would say, "Hey, do you want to sleep over?" And
Oh, so he's
she would,
trying with her too.
yeah, but she would say no.
Yeah.
And I guess one time he tried to kiss her, and
Mm-hmm.
she, ever since that day, was like, "I am not comfortable with him. I
Right,
don't want to
yeah.
be near him."
Well, it's a different train of thought of 13 than 8.
Yeah.
So maybe she was able to understand what's going on a little bit more.
As I reflect more on my childhood, I realize like we were all victims, my sisters and I. I don't know about my brother, but I have a sense that my sisters have gone through things just because, nobody was really protecting us.
No, your mother wasn't protecting any of you.
No. And if someone said something, she was kind of like, I really don't want to hear it.
Mm-hmm.
I can't deal with it right now.
Mm-hmm. I really want to talk about like the grooming process. I think it's really important for listeners to understand whatever you're comfortable with, like
Yeah.
how it starts out, because it doesn't just start out,
Right.
with abuse.
Yeah.
So what is the process that he was going through with you where just making you feel comfortable,
Mm-hmm.
before it got into that?
It was really bad because like he made me feel really loved.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's one thing they always do, is to make you feel
Yeah.
like he cares about you.
Yeah, like it's sad, but growing up people didn't say I love you to me. And he was the only one that's like, I love you, I
Oh
love
no.
you, I love you. Like,
Yeah, then that's so comforting.
yeah. And so it was like, okay, you love me, you can do whatever you want.
Mm-hmm.
I
Yeah,
guess you're supposed to be the
right.
person that's protecting me and watching
Mm-hmm.
me, and yeah.
So you almost looked at him maybe as a father figure too,
Yeah, and my
right?
dad was not in the picture. I think he saw that, like,
Mm-hmm.
oh, here's this family and
Mm-hmm.
there's no man
Mm-hmm.
in the picture. And so he would like come over and talk to my mom for hours and, just little talk. Keep in mind,
Mm-hmm.
there was a huge language barrier between them,
Mm-hmm.
My mom does this thing where she tells a lot of people she doesn't speak English,
Mm-hmm.
even to the police officers
Right.
who were questioning her.
Mm-hmm.
But to them, I guess they had talked for hours and hours
Right.
and
And she spoke perfect English.
perfect English. And she would go over there and talk with him for hours and
So this was a
hours.
good friend of hers.
Yeah, yeah. I think she felt like she could really trust him, especially since he was already across the street.
Mm.
From what I remember, when I first was there, he didn't touch me. It was very good,
Yeah,
And he never did anything in public. It was
Mm-hmm.
always behind closed doors.
Of course. So watching TV, playing games.
Yeah,
Yeah.
watch TV, play games, first night, just sleep over. And then eventually, like, I think he knew he could get away with it and was like, let's really get to what I want. It sucks because my mom wasn't really feeding me as a
Right.
kid. She was so busy. I never had like meals in the fridge. There
Oh,
was no
really?
meal prep. Like, how am I going to feed myself at 8 years old? Like,
Right.
all I know is to use a microwave and pour milk. Like,
Right.
so
She wasn't taking care of you.
no, so he definitely took that role and was like, let me take care of you. Let me tell
Yes.
you I love you.
Right.
Let me do everything your parents are
Right.
lacking.
So yeah, that's what I'm saying. He tries to like convince you, like touching you is caring for you.
I've already given you this meal,
Mm-hmm.
this warm blanket, this warm house,
Mm-hmm.
so you owe me.
Mm-hmm. Oh, really?
That's how I felt when he would
Okay.
like,
Okay.
molest and rape
Right.
me.
Mm-hmm.
He was like, you owe me.
Okay.
Because I've spent this 8 hours
Yeah,
with
your
you.
mom's not doing this for you. I'm doing this for you.
I'm not getting paid to do it. That was
Mm-hmm.
definitely his mentality.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Interesting. And how
Yeah.
did you process that as a child? I know how you process it now, but as a
Yeah.
child, what were you thinking?
I remember telling a lot of classmates, I was repeating what was going on. I
Mm-hmm.
mean, no one
Because you
like,
didn't really understand what was going on.
yeah,
So you were
and I
trying to
thought it was
make.
normal. I was like, "Hey, is your family member doing this to you? Cuz
Mm-hmm.
oh, they're not. Oh, this is just me."
Mm-hmm.
Oh. And then
Right.
kids would tell their parents and their parents would talk to my mom, and some of the girls would come up to my brother and be like, "Hey, your sister's going around telling people that she used to get touched. Like, do you
Right.
know about this?"
Mm-hmm.
And my brother got mad at me because I kind of
Mm.
like blocked his game.
Yeah.
And so he like told my sisters and my mom, we were all together, and he was like, "Why are you telling people this? Like, you're embarrassing."
Oh, really?
And I kind of just shut up
Yeah,
after
further
that.
silences you.
They were very big about reputation.
Mm-hmm.
Like, don't embarrass
That's
us.
usually what it's about.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Don't tell people that you're a victim.
How did you go about getting a police report or calling the police? What triggered that for you?
Right. I was watching TV. I was watching, yeah, just a regular channel. And I guess at the time it was breaking news that Michael Jackson had molested children.
Mm-hmm.
And the news was very explicit about what molestation was.
Mm.
And so I was like, wow, that's happening to me.
Mm-hmm.
And from the connotation of it, it didn't seem like a good thing. It is an awful thing.
Right.
And
But
so
you were a child then,
I
so
was a
you were like,
child.
"Oh, that's what's happening to me. I
Yeah.
can put a name to it."
And I felt violated at such a
Mhm.
young age. Like, wow.
And you were 10 at that time.
Yeah.
Mhm.
And so I was like, I remember looking around the house, like, where's my sister? Where's my sister? And she wasn't anywhere to be found. My brother's playing games in the living room. And
Mhm.
he's like, why are you crying? I'm like, where is where is she? I need to
Right.
tell her something. And he's like, I don't know where she is. What's wrong? And so I just scream out. I'm like, I've been molested.
Yeah.
And my brother was 12 at the time. I don't even think he knew what that
No.
was. I just remember crying and crying. And I think my brother yelled her out and she came finally. And at that point, she kind of looked at me and was like, we got to file a police report. I don't know where else to go.
Oh, good that she said that. Yeah.
It was really scary, you know, because my mom wasn't at home.
Well, your mom probably would have stopped you from filing a police report, right?
Yes.
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 So, did you call the police at that time, you and your
My
sister?
sister
Okay,
did.
good.
And so the police came right away. At first, a Vietnamese officer came because he wanted to really understand what was going on.
Mhm.
And then he realized, you know, this isn't something I can talk about with her. I need a female
Right.
officer.
Mhm.
So he brought a female officer and we sat in front of my house. We had a little swinging bench and she just talked with me. You know, she brought something that was really like vulgar and vulnerable and she made it into a as detailed conversation for her report as possible.
Good. Yeah.
I don't even know how you pull that out of a
Well,
10-year-old.
well, she was sensitive. Thank
Yeah.
goodness. Yes.
Because if you ask me those
Mhm.
questions now, I'm like, I don't
Right.
really want to answer them. You
Yeah,
know?
she did. She was very skilled in how she pulled that out
She
of you
really was.
by first wanting to know what was right or wrong, if you knew what a
Yeah.
lie was. And yeah.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah. I
And
mean,
explaining things.
I was reading her report and I was like, wow, her
Mhm.
technique, you know,
Mhm.
needs to be studied
Yeah.
because she pulled out, wow, she pulled out a lot.
Mhm.
A lot of, and I know they really wanted to catch him. They
Good.
really, like, I don't know if you read, but they
Mhm.
at one point, like, harassed my mom. They were like, do you want to arrest this guy
Mhm.
or not?
Right.
What are we doing?
Mhm. And
Because
she
you're
didn't
not,
want to.
they told her, like, you're not bringing justice to the victim.
Mhm.
They were like, I think they wrote that at one point.
Yeah.
They were like, we suggested her respecting the victim's choice,
Right.
not the reason why she didn't want to prosecute him is because of his age and his health,
And
allegedly.
because of his age. Well, what about you when you were an innocent child? His age at that time was how old?
50. And his health was really bad. It was really bad. I remember he would take handfuls of pills. You know, he had knee problems
Mhm.
but he wasn't taking care of himself.
He's also not that old at 50. And that's not an excuse.
You know,
And she probably didn't want, to have anything to do with it, to file a report because she was also at fault. And what happened after that with this situation?
well, when we had filed the police report, it was against him.
Mhm.
No one was looking at my mom. So I guess at midnight, he turns himself in. From what I was told through the grapevine from another detective, was that they harassed him
Mhm.
to turn himself in.
Okay.
Which if that's true, like, thank you.
Yeah, but they probably used techniques and whatever to turn himself in because they
From-
knew he was guilty.
If you read the papers, he turned himself in.
Okay.
I don't really know what happened.
So he walked into the police station and said, "I'm guilty."
Yeah, and
Okay.
then they arrested him. He tries the whole time to, get sympathy points because he has a medical issue.
Mm-hmm.
So I guess they take him to the hospital while he's in handcuffs. There's nothing wrong with him. They take him back to the jail. He's in jail for 5 days. And so on the 5th day, they take me to a hospital where they do a medical exam.
Mm-hmm.
And they end up saying that the initial report was that everything was normal. My hymen was normal.
Mm-hmm.
Nothing happened.
Uh-huh.
But they said, we're not going to rule out anything.
Mm-hmm.
Give us some more time.
Okay.
You know, my mom takes that as nothing happened. You're good. Close the case.
Wow.
And so
Even though she knows what was happening.
yeah. And the detectives were like, whoa, 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 whoa. Let's really wait for the results. Like, don't close it yet.
Right.
Just wait. On the 9th day, they say, hey, just wait. Don't make any rash decisions. On the 18th day, they say, just wait. Don't make any rash decisions yet.
Mm-hmm.
My mom's like, no, I want to close it.
Mm-hmm.
They've already said this. And I guess they persuade her so well. She's like, okay, let's reopen it. Let's not close it.
Okay. That's good.
September 10th comes, which is a month later. No change, which is that everything is still normal.
Mm-hmm.
There's no sexual assault detected.
Right.
At this point, he's in jail. Like, he's just in there rotting.
Mm-hmm.
So it comes to a point where the detective says, we have to let him go.
Mm-hmm.
Do you wish to move forward or do you wish to back out? Because we
Right.
have to make a decision. We can't keep somebody here when there's no evidence. So then my mom...
So your word wasn't enough?
No. To this
Mm-hmm.
day, you can't do that. You
Mm-hmm.
gotta have evidence. And it's tough because kids can make up things.
Well, of course, I get that.
So that's that huge argument
But
too.
it's hard to find evidence when it didn't just happen.
Well, that was another thing. And I told the police that he would always make me shower.
Yeah.
He would
right.
always tell me, you have to wash everything off.
Mm.
So that was the hard part too.
Mhm.
Like,
Yeah.
the evidence was gone before 24 hours.
Mhm.
So yeah, it's 2 months later. He's in jail. Nothing. They're asking my mom. So 1 month passes, 2 month passes. The third month passed. They're like, look, we have to let him go because you're not doing anything. You're not saying you want to prosecute.
Mhm. Well, you didn't have your mom supporting you to do so.
At this
Right.
time, and the officers wrote it on the report that they were ignoring their calls, their letters.
Mhm.
They would go up to my mom's house and she would run and hide from them.
Mhm.
And they can't just go in your house and
No.
chase you. They wrote in the report that she made it very difficult.
Yeah.
So on the third month, they gave her a waiver to prosecute. They said, if this is what you want,
Mhm.
this is what you need to sign. Because other than
Okay.
that, we have to release him.
You're waiving the right to prosecute. Unbelievable.
Yeah. And I remember that day, I guess the officers harassed her so much that she finally took the paper and she said, give me a minute, I'll sign it right here. She closed the door, brought it back to the house. She signed it, then she made me sign it, even though I didn't want to.
Mm.
I remember they took it to the front and the officer took it and I never really heard from them after that. But I remember my sister, she was furious.
Mhm.
She was, and I don't know why she was yelling at me, but she was like, why would you do that?
Because
Like,
she didn't want you to sign it.
all I know at that age is you need to listen to your mom.
Mhm. Of course.
And
Because
that
she's the one supposed to be protecting you. Of course, you're gonna think that way about mom.
she tells me to go right, I go right. She tells me to
And
go
of
straight,
course,
I go straight.
that is totally understandable.
And it was weird because in my soul it felt wrong, but
But yeah, you gotta listen
I'm
to what
just gonna
mom
listen to
says
my
because she's
mom.
protecting you.
Yeah. So yep, the case closes and we don't hear about it.
But you know your mom wasn't protecting you.
At that time, no.
Yeah, I know.
At that time, I thought she was.
I know.
I thought protecting was just like, let's not talk about it. Let's just be quiet and
just brush it under, like move on.
he can't hurt you anymore.
This is so infuriating.
We did move shortly.
So I was gonna say, so you moved. So you never saw this man again after that?
We moved shortly after that for unknown reasons, which now I think because my mom didn't want to get questioned.
In trouble. She didn't want to get in trouble.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Well, part of her deal with Tony, who is my rapist, is she's a loan shark, you know? She loans a lot of money to people. She has dirty little businesses that she does. And I think she was really scared that the cops were like, there's something off about you.
Yeah.
I can't put my finger on it.
I'm sure they saw that.
The detectives that were harassing her, they were like,
Mm-hmm.
there's something about you.
Yeah.
But the DA, who controls everybody, was like, no, let's focus on him. We need to get him. We don't care about her.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you moved away. How far away did you move?
We moved like 10 minutes away, which was so weird. Like, it was like, okay. But
were you now
I was
out of reach? Like you had no way of seeing Tony anymore. She wasn't making you.
I thought so. I thought I was like finally free. And then there was like a point where she picked me up from school one day early and we met up with him at a restaurant.
Are you serious?
Yeah, I was shocked. Like,
you're now what, 11?
Yeah. Yeah.
What are you thinking?
So she picks me up early from school. We go to this restaurant. It's him, me, and her. Him, her, and I. And then there's a table between us. And then, I remember him just like staring at me. Like, leering at me. And I'm looking at mom like, I'm so lost right now. But
It's
you're my
awkward.
mom.
Yeah.
You're not going to let him hurt me. We're out
Yeah,
in
of course
public. You're not
not.
going to let him hurt me.
You would think so.
And so he looked at me. He kind of, at one point, my mom went to the restroom and he was like, so how have you been? And I was like, good, you know? And she came back and I kind of just like blurred out. I just zoned out. And they were talking about something and we left and that was it. And then we saw him one other time. A few months after that, my mom was like, oh, my washer and dryer are broken. I need to go to the laundromat. I was like, okay, cool. And she was like, no, you need to come with me. I need you to come with me to the laundromat. I was like, okay, I'm not really doing anything in the house. Why not?
Right.
We go to the laundromat. We're doing laundry as normal. Then he walks up next to us. And mom's like, oh my God, you're here. Who would have? Oh my God. Well, here's Cindy. Come talk to her. And I was just like, this is when I was a little bit older. So I started running around the laundromat. And
Trying
I
to
was
get
like,
away?
I was like, oh, no.
Yeah.
Like, I ran away. And then at one point, he was just so tired of walking around and chasing me. He left.
Okay.
And my mom acted like that never happened.
Why do you think your mom was bringing you around him those 2 times?
I asked her so many years later, like I would always bother her. I was like, why did you allow this? Why did you?
Right.
And then one day she yells at me. She's like, I just thought he liked kids. He told me he loves kids. And I was like, that's not a red flag to you. Apparently he has children. I don't know. He told me he has like a son and daughter. And
But liking kids and wanting a sleepover is a different thing.
I don't know why my mom never dissected that, or
I think your mom knew.
I think the more I talked with my stepdad, I kind of understood.
Yeah.
He really pieced a lot of things together.
To make you understand why she did it.
Just who she is.
Yeah.
She's a very hurt child. I know she's like 60
Well,
now,
yeah.
but she's a very hurt child. And her now, she acts like a 16-year-old, you know? It's like, you're still living that like really like young, sad life that you didn't get to.
She didn't probably get to have when she was younger.
No, I guess not. No. And, I mean, she went through the war. She went through the aftermath of the war. She went through the aftermath of being a refugee.
Vietnam?
Yes.
Okay.
And being a refugee. So I want to feel bad for her sometimes, and I do. But I'm not going to do that to my kids. You know?
Of course not, yeah.
No.
So why did you reopen the case?
I reopened the case because it really bothered me. As much as I tried to shovel it in my teenage years, it really bothered me. I confided in like a lot of classmates. But I was always told to like brush it away. Not from my classmates, my family, of course.
Of course.
And then I went to college and I was like, I'm kind of my own person.
Right.
Like if I want to go to the police, I can go to the police.
Was this something that had just been on your mind throughout the years, or did something trigger it where you're like remembering it and really wanting to do something about it?
So I noticed every August I would feel the remembrance.
Okay.
Or like I would be triggered every August.
What was the significance of August?
Well, then I look back at my police reports and I made the report in August.
Okay.
It took me like 11 years to realize, but I was like, August always makes me the saddest month. And so I was like, I'm so tired of feeling sad every year. Like something needs to change. And for so long, my family kept telling me, it's not true. It's not true. It never happened. It's not true.
Your family, just meaning your mom?
Everybody.
Or brother, everyone?
Everyone.
Yeah. What about the sister that stuck up for you all those years?
It never happened.
Oh, because the mom brainwashed them probably over the years.
Yeah.
Okay.
So she kept saying it never happened, never happened. So then I took matters in my own hands. I went to the Long Beach Police Department and they said, yep, we have a report from you from 2009.
Wow, good.
And I was like, okay.
And what year was this now?
2020.
Okay, good.
So March 2020, right before the lockdown. So I called the detective. She says, you know, I'm assigned to your case. Come by. Let's look at it together. And why do you want to reopen it? So I meet her in person that day. And she opens up everything. She shows me, you know, the waiver of prosecution, the statements from all the detectives, like everything, you know, and it just brought back so many memories, and it made me more angry that why do I have these people telling me this isn't real for 11 years? And it was a lot of mind games. It was
Yeah.
like, is it real? Is it not real?
Yeah.
I have my own blood telling me it's not real, but I have like a factual police report in front of me. It was like, keep in mind, in the Vietnamese culture, it's like, we're family and you believe
Right.
everything we tell you.
That makes sense.
If the sky is black,
Yeah.
I'm telling you, the
stick with
sky is black. You believe me, you know? So it's like,
But it's so good that you had that police report that laid out everything in detail for you.
everything.
Right.
And the detective was very transparent. I don't think she
Was it the
was.
same one?
Huh?
Is it the same detective?
No, no,
Oh.
no. The ones that I had were retired.
Okay. Okay.
But the lady who took on, you know, got reassigned to it, she was as strong
Oh, good.
or stronger than them.
Good. Good.
So, you know, when
It makes all the difference.
she was a really good detective. I was surprised. But she said she called, you know, the suspect. She told me he confessed a lot, apparently. He kind of told on himself, and then he disconnected the phone and tried to retract everything. But he confessed a lot, and it was, I confronted my family about it, and it really broke us.
So after you refiled,
Yeah.
right, then you confronted them and told them, this is what I'm doing.
I told them because, you know, the detective was like, hey, just tell your family what's
let 'em
going on,
know.
that I will be calling them. I will be showing up. I will be sending letters. And I was like, okay,
Good.
no big deal. Why should it be an issue?
No.
You know? My whole life, my family was like, we got your back. We're going to protect you.
And did you find they had your back?
No.
No. But you were still strong enough to go through with it.
I was so pissed. Like, I was so pissed. I have never felt like such a lone wolf in my life.
A lot of survivors feel that way. We don't have the support from the family.
Because the detective was asking my family to help out.
Help out. Yeah, of course.
Help out. Tell us anything.
Yes.
Anything that you know. And so my sister ends up changing her number.
Oh, gosh.
My mom ends up moving to a whole different city to avoid the police.
Your mom was running. Did it take a while to come to terms that your mom was actually sex trafficking you?
Yeah. I was very upset. The person that brought it up was my husband. I was talking about it. I was crying about it every night. And it came to a point where he was like, so they're not answering. They're changing their address. He has an outstanding debt to your family of $3,000. This sounds like sex trafficking. And I was like, no way. No. And so I brought it up to the detective, and she's like, yeah, sounds about right. And so then I brought it up to my sister. And I've never heard her scream so loud. She's like, why do you want to destroy the only good parent that you have? I was like,
really? The only good parent?
did you just not hear what I told you?
Yeah.
That mom did?
It's hard for her to comprehend it.
She just didn't want me to talk to the police.
They're all worried about their reputation and what people think, and they're not really worried about you, what you went through.
And she just saying like, get over it, get over it. I'm like,
get over it.
It wasn't like a little thing. It was 2 years of like physical abuse. And it wasn't like, oh, he drugged me up and like, no, he did. Like my biology, my hormones are changed.
Yes.
And then you expect me to come out the other side very normal, very well mannered. But my sisters who have, I think they've gone through things, they hold it together very well. And I think that's what they wanted me to do.
Yeah, people process it differently.
Yeah.
You were also a child, though, an innocent child.
I was a child who really
Mhm.
wanted to talk, who really
Mhm.
wanted to get it out.
Mhm.
And so it never like that
Mhm.
annoyance never
Mhm.
left me.
Good.
And then that's why in 2020 I was like,
Mhm.
let's reopen this. I want to
Good.
see with my own eyes.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, and you wanted him to pay for what he did to you.
It didn't feel right that he wasn't on the registered sex offenders
Yeah.
list. It
So
really bothered me.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah, he got away with a lot.
I just wonder if he hurt anybody else, which makes me very sad.
Most likely.
I think most parents would understand that you shouldn't have your little daughter sleeping in a grown man's
Yeah, most
house.
parents do understand that.
Yeah, so I don't know
Yeah.
if you really did have any other victims. I hope not.
Mhm.
I hope not.
Usually it's not a one-time thing, but we're finding as survivors speak out, other ones hear the story and say, "Oh, it happened to me too." A lot of times from the same predator.
He broke a lot of the family.
Oh, he did.
Yeah.
He
And my
ruined the
mom
family.
didn't want to glue it together.
Mm-mm.
So it was
But who did you receive support from?
my husband's
Yeah.
great. His family's great.
Oh, good. Your stepdad.
My stepdad.
Right.
I remember when he first moved in with me, I was just so angry. I was like, a lot of this is because of you, because you didn't say anything. And then you also consider the fact that like he worked 5 days out of the
Yeah,
7.
he probably didn't know.
No, my mom was very good at hiding it.
Yeah, I was about to say he must not have known
No, my mom was very good.
because of the relationship you have now, and he loves you. Like he would have.
He apologized
Yeah.
a lot. When he first moved in, he was like, I am just
Mhm.
really sorry
Mhm.
for everything.
Mhm.
And it healed a little girl inside of me,
Yeah.
and it gets to a point where you're like, I'm an adult now. They can't hurt me anymore.
No.
Let's move on. Yeah.
Yeah, sometimes you just have to move on. So how did you process this new understanding of trauma you experienced? How do you process it and go through the healing journey?
Well, I know it was a lot of anger.
Yeah.
It was a lot of anger. And it got to a point where it was like, I'm not gonna make it if I get this angry. Like, I'm gonna die early if I am always this stressed. I'm not gonna have friendships if I'm always this angry. I'm not gonna have a husband if
Right.
I'm it was a lot of inner work of like, yeah, it sucks, but they can't hurt me anymore. They can't hurt me anymore.
No.
And they know what they'll be met with
Yes.
if they get in my town. So I've made it aware of like, I'm here, you're over there. It's best if we don't talk to each other. I've tried to prosecute my mom, but it's hard because there's lack of evidence and she's always running away. I know the detectives wanted to do a search warrant, but there was lack of evidence.
Right.
And even if they did, she's already gone to the next town. So then you need a new warrant for that new address. So you can't catch her, but all I can do is just kind of talk about it. And like I said, a few years ago there wasn't any resources for survivors, and I kind of just want to be there for people. Like, this isn't the end for us. There's a lot of life to be lived. Yeah.
So what happened with the case after you realized you were sex trafficked?
So my mom and my sister were not talking to the police. They disconnected their phones. They moved away. They were just untraceable. But they would answer my call. And so the detective one day was like, hey, we cannot reach them. Can you help us? So then I told them, and my sister and my mom were just like, please stop. Like, please stop with this nonsense. Stop. Like, just move on. Be happy. And please, I beg of you, that's how they were on the phone. And at this point, I'm so weak. I'm so tired. I'm so betrayed by who I thought was like my pack, my village. So out of like weakness, I submit and I just call the detective and I say, you know what, we're going to close the case. I know this isn't what you want to hear, but we're going to close the case because I can't do this anymore. I can't do this anymore.
Because you didn't have the support.
No.
Yeah, it's not easy to navigate everything on your own.
And they weren't going to move forward if we didn't have testimonies.
Of course.
There was no reason to.
You needed them.
They were willing to take testimonies as evidence, even if it wasn't concrete. They were willing to move forward with that. So it's like, I just needed you to speak a little bit, have my back for a little bit, and we could possibly get somewhere with arresting him. He was still alive at the time. And then he passed away shortly after we closed the case.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. And that was terrible.
It was terrible in what way?
It was a lot because it hit me that he died because of a heart attack from probably me coming forward again. So it made me feel good in that way. But then my mom calls me that night. So the detective told me that he was passed or he had passed. So my mom calls me that night and she's like, did you hear he passed? I said, yeah. And I was very numb. I didn't care. I wasn't happy, sad. I was just very neutral.
Right.
And she was like, I just want to let you know that I have invitations to his funeral and I would like you to come. I was on the phone. I was literally on the phone.
What reality does your mom live in?
You have to keep in mind, no one has ever questioned her. A lot of people just love her and just say yes. So I was on the phone and she was like, would you like to come? And I said, no. And I hung up. And
Good for you.
I think we like stopped talking after that. Because I was like, I can't fathom what this is.
No, it's still all about him.
It was never about me.
Yeah, it was never about you. Still in that moment.
I remember my husband was like, just put the phone down. Just put it down.
Oh, sorry.
So, yeah, I just like disconnected, you know?
Yeah, because your mom is the one who's supposed to protect you.
Well, it was easy too because it was around the time with COVID. So the lockdown was like, cool, this is an excuse for me. I don't have to see you. I can lock myself away.
So she never said sorry to you?
It got worse. Like, it got worse. I guess she had pictures from the funeral and she tried to send them to me.
Why?
It was like her
It's
mind.
almost like taunting you.
Her mind games are so like, and I talked about it to my stepdad after, and he was like, she does that so you shut up and don't fight her. And never, like, she does this mind thing of where she taunts you so you're in that sad place and you're not going to go and report her.
Right, that's true. Because you absolutely could.
You're frozen. You're just like,
yeah.
She's like
trying to put the fear in you.
She's trying me, you know, and it worked. I bowed down. I didn't go on with the case.
Yeah.
It worked.
That's understandable.
Yeah. I mean, she's not dumb, you know.
No, and she knows how strong you are. She sees how brave you are and how strong you are. She does.
I don't know. I don't know.
Well, she's going to see it now.
Yeah, because I think when I walked away from her, she was so surprised. She was like, you moved away, didn't tell me where you live? I'm like, yeah, because I'm going crazy, Mom. I'm going crazy. Yeah.
What is your life like today?
Peaceful.
You're married.
Peaceful.
Wonderful husband.
Yeah.
2 little babies.
Yeah. It's peaceful. God, it's so nice.
Peaceful is good.
Yeah, it's really nice. Like, I don't know. Sometimes I wake up and I'm like, I feel like a princess.
Good. That's what you deserve.
Yeah. I feel like everyone deserves it. That's
everyone
the sad
does,
part,
yeah.
you know?
Yeah, everybody does.
But no, it's so good now. And, you know, at first I tried to keep in contact with my siblings and after a while, I was just like, I can't do this anymore. You guys are the past.
Mm-hmm.
And for some reason you suck out every energy
Mm-hmm.
out of me, and
Yeah.
I have to move on.
Mm-hmm.
So
Yeah, at this time, it's important for you, for your healing.
yeah,
Yeah.
and time and time has shown us that, I don't know, like the last time I saw my siblings was my cousin's wedding 2 years ago, a year
Mm-hmm.
ago. And it was so dull. Like I didn't care about them. They didn't care about me.
Well, because you knew they didn't care about you.
It was like,
Mm-hmm.
your life's there, my life's here.
Mm-hmm. And maybe one day it'll come back around and they'll understand.
Maybe.
Mm-hmm.
For sure they haven't tried to reach out and hear
Mm-hmm.
my side.
Mm-hmm. Well, they're dealing with their own issues.
That's what it seems like.
Yeah.
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 They need their time, and that's okay.
I think it just frustrates me because it's like you're not gonna get to know your niece and nephew.
Trust me, I understand that.
Yeah, yeah.
Very similar to in my family.
Yeah, so
But how has becoming a mom aided you in your healing?
oh man. I think it's like
Yeah.
it's forced me to be better. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I did like with the whole sexual assault and the
Mm-hmm.
whole postpartum,
Mm-hmm.
I had rage.
Mm-hmm.
I was so emotional. Like, especially my first child, I was a mess.
Yeah.
Cause I was like, I didn't have the best role model.
Mm-hmm.
I'm pissed about that. I feel very lost. I wish
Mm-hmm.
my mom was here to hug me.
Mm-hmm.
It was just terrible.
Mm-hmm.
And then after a year had passed, I was like, you know what? She's not coming. She's not coming.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I don't know. One day I just like released her. I was like, she's not my mother, call her a surrogate, call her,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
but she's like, she doesn't act like a mom.
Mm-mm.
She's non-existent with me. Like she doesn't even check in any way.
Mm-mm.
So
It's not easy.
no, but my only option was really just to move forward. Well,
Mm-hmm.
sulk or move forward.
Yeah, and you have your new family now.
Yeah.
Like I said, you have a wonderful husband and beautiful children.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm, that you can pour everything into.
They're great.
Yeah.
They're great. And I'm working on it because, there's some days I'm very sad and my husband's like, oh, mommy's having a bad day. Let's just leave her alone.
Okay.
I hate those days because
Mm-hmm.
it's like, so we're not going to hang out with mommy for a day because she's in a bad mood.
Yeah, maybe you just need some time to work through it all.
I'm getting better. It used to be like a whole day of me being depressed. Now it's
Yes.
like 3 hours.
Yeah. Well, it's understandable.
Yeah.
When you go through what you went through as a child, that never leaves you. And you're always wanting to heal that inner child.
And I think the tough part too is like I look at them and I'm like, I could never look at children and be like, oh, let's hurt.
Yeah.
Let me take your innocence. Let me just ruin every bit of it.
Yeah.
I don't.
No, of course you can't understand that.
I cannot.
Because that's a monster.
I cannot get it. I can't.
Pedophiles are monsters. They're not human.
I mean, I've even like researched it and they say that pedophiles live in that time frame. Like they still think they're 13, so they'll talk to other 13-year-olds. They still think they're 8, so they'll talk to 8-year-olds. It's very weird. They never grew up.
That's scary.
I think that's what I'm saying. Like everybody needs to do their own inner work. Cause it's like, I could easily be a pedophile, but I woke up and was like, this isn't something I want to do.
Right. We all have these choices.
Right. So it's like, everybody has to do their own inner work of how can I be better?
Yeah. And stop the generational trauma.
Yeah. Because even if you aren't a pedophile, you still have anger issues. You still have trust issues. Can't develop relationships.
Yeah.
Can't keep a job for more than like a few months. You know?
Usually it happens like that.
Yeah.
You found that inner strength and power because you've been able to have like a really healthy relationship. Which
I
a lot of
think
people struggle with, but you found it.
well, I think my husband's great because his family,
Mm-hmm.
works in that field.
Okay.
They've worked with, sex survivors,
Oh, yeah.
child
Okay.
sex crimes.
So he had an understanding of it.
He had an understanding that I
Mm-hmm.
wasn't going to be okay,
Okay.
that I have some trigger
Mm-hmm.
points, and that's where it stems from.
That's good. That's good.
I
He
might have
understands that.
mommy issues
Yes,
and
of
daddy
course.
issues, and
Mm-hmm.
so
And you're gonna have triggers.
this girl isn't going to be
Mm-hmm.
normal,
Mm-hmm.
Um,
Mm-hmm.
he says when he first met me, I was like a really scared dog.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I see it sometimes in other survivors.
Yeah, of course. Same here.
I'm like,
Mm-hmm.
holy shoot, can I
Yeah.
give you a hug?
Right.
Like,
That's why you need a really sensitive
yeah,
partner. Yeah.
yeah,
And you found him. So
yeah.
good.
Lucky though.
Well,
Lucky, because
yeah, no, you did.
they don't always pop out like that.
No, they don't. Well, how else do you take care of yourself? Any other type of self healing that you do? Self care.
Yeah, I besides my kids, making them
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
happy has made my inner
Mm-hmm.
child happy, and
Mm-hmm.
I do a lot of crafts.
Mm-hmm.
I focus on my business. I have a skincare business.
Tell me a little bit more about that.
Yeah, I moved into this small town called
Mm-hmm.
Fraser Park,
Mm-hmm.
and the area is so dry because we're in the mountains.
Right.
So it's so dry, and my face was just breaking out. And then I got pregnant, and my
Mm-hmm.
face broke out even more.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, I can't do this. I gotta find something that works.
Mm-hmm.
So I mixed very simple things, and it
Right.
worked.
Uh-huh.
And I bottled it up, sold it, and I was like, okay, let's make more. And
Wow.
it's become, from one
Mm-hmm.
product to 17 products.
Wow, that's
Yeah,
exciting.
yeah.
Yeah. And that's a creative process that helps you to heal too.
I
Mm-hmm.
just try to stay busy
Yeah.
because I know when I'm not busy, things can get very dark
Mm-hmm.
very quickly.
I'm sure.
So
Mm-hmm.
that's my goal, to
Mm-hmm.
keep good busy.
Yeah, that dark place is always there.
Yeah. I
Mm-hmm.
try to keep good busy, like, exercise, read a book, something very
Good.
positive,
Good.
because I'm telling you, I can sulk
Mm-hmm.
all day. I can
Mm-hmm.
just sulk
Mm-hmm.
in my sadness
Mm-hmm.
and then end up hating the whole world.
Mm-hmm.
So that's where I try not to go.
Yeah, I understand that.
Yeah.
What encouragement would you like to share with the audience members who are currently processing the abuse they experienced as a child?
I would encourage them to speak out. Don't be afraid.
Mm-hmm.
I think I wasted so many years just not getting the help I deserved.
Mm-hmm.
And therapy was great. I wish I got sooner, I
Mhm.
got it at 18
Mm-hmm.
because I had a boyfriend at the time, and his mom noticed some triggers in me.
Mm-hmm.
And she was like, I don't know your story,
Mm-hmm.
but I feel like therapy would be very good for you.
Oh, wow.
And so she told me about EMDR.
Oh, wow. Yeah, that's what I use.
It was new back
Yeah.
then. This was 2017.
Okay.
So it was very new.
Mm-hmm.
And so I was like, okay.
Oh, so
And
she
then-
picked up you had trauma.
yeah, she was a
Yeah.
nurse.
Okay,
She was
yeah.
a nurse. And EMDR had a 99% success rate
Oh, it's
at the time.
amazing. It's amazing.
Yeah, I was like,
So, wow. So you did EMDR.
I did
That's what
EMDR.
helped you through. Also to help you to speak out.
yeah, because
You
and
know?
I understand it. Like, I guess a lot of victims
Mhm.
live,
Mm-hmm.
they rotate the memory all the time. It's like a pattern. So when you do EMDR, it's like you live in that moment, you go through it, processing it in real time. And it helps you it helps you to get out of that loop.
Right.
I would totally recommend EMDR.
Mm-hmm.
It's phenomenal.
Yeah, for anyone who's had a lot of trauma.
Yeah.
I think it's the best therapy.
Yeah. And I mean, 99% success rate.
Mhm.
Can you really beat that?
It's the only thing that worked for me, and I've been
Yeah.
doing it now for 9 months.
Yeah, I would recommend it. I think I only had 2 sessions.
Oh my gosh, and two, yeah, but yeah, I found transformation the first session.
Yeah.
So yeah, I can
Yeah.
only a couple sessions will really help. Yeah.
I've only had 2.
Mhm.
And then ever since that, our therapy sessions were very casual. Like, how's your day been?
Mm-hmm.
What are you doing next week? Like, it was very
Right.
casual. No,
Yeah.
no more EMDR
Yeah.
after that.
Well, you just needed support, not having it through your family. having someone to talk to
Yeah.
about this is really important.
Yeah. I was just
Mhm.
very stuck in the same images, the same scene all the time. So once I got that out of my head, I was like, it was weird. Like it kept me stuck in there throughout the day. And when I processed that, it was like, I can live life. I can get a job.
Yeah,
I
of
can
course.
function. Um, it was weird. I would get
Mhm.
stuck in that phase and I would
Mhm.
not eat, not
Mhm.
not drink water, not, I
Yeah.
wasn't functioning.
Mhm.
So it was very weird.
Yeah, it seems like going through pregnancy, and that's a big emotional release
Oh gosh.
when you're
Yeah.
it's a major transformational thing that
Gosh.
happens to you after you give birth. So your daughters are healing you.
Yeah.
Your kids are healing you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They are.
Yeah.
They're so cute. They're so cute because I look
They're
at
at that
them.
cute age.
I know. I look at them and I'm like, how can you hate that? How can
Mhm.
you sell that? Like, God,
Yeah, so innocent.
so innocent to
So
the point where I'm like,
innocent.
I need to preserve this as
Yes.
long as possible.
Right. Mhm.
I know someday they're gonna have friends and they're gonna talk about sex and
Yes.
drugs
Yeah.
but I want to preserve it for as
Of
long as
course.
possible.
Yeah, because you didn't get that.
No, I was
You didn't get
exposed
that.
at like
Mm-mm.
7, 8, 9,
Mhm.
10.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And it
but
ruined me. Like I was, what do they call it? Hypersexual
mhm.
growing up,
Mhm.
promiscuous.
Mhm. Yeah, dealing with the shame.
It yeah,
Yeah.
it was too much. It was too
Mhm.
much.
Good. You were so courageous.
Mm,
You're a brave, beautiful woman, and I
Thank
really
you.
appreciate you being here today.
Thank
I have one
you.
last question.
Yes.
When you hear the powerful statement from now on, how would you complete that sentence?
I think from now on, we're choosing happiness.
That's a good one for you.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, it's a
Because
choice every day.
it's a choice. I know it's easy to sulk,
Mm-hmm.
but it doesn't serve you. It it really hurts the person that you want to be.
Mm-hmm.
So, happiness,
Mm-hmm.
especially now the year of the snake. So, for Chinese New Year's,
Yeah, the
they
year of the
say the
snake.
snake is
Mm-hmm.
calmness, introspection, going through the world, because snakes kind of
Yeah, yeah.
they're slither, but they're very careful with their
Mm-hmm.
actions. So
Mm-hmm.
it's like being careful with happiness and sadness every day. Yeah.
That's great. I'm choosing happiness too.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Thank you.
Thank you.
This is From Now On. I'm Lisa Phillips. And until next time, stay informed, stay empowered, and remember, your voice has the power to change lives. Speak out, stand together, and let's create a world where every story inspires courage and every survivor finds justice. And special thanks to our courageous guest, Cindy Lay. Elizabeth Wyndham is our senior producer, Christopher Leon is the editor, and Jose Oriana is our studio producer. Our theme music is Many Worlds by Memory Theory. If you have any thoughts, questions, or stories about your own views on topics discussed on From Now On, email us at fromnowonpod@gmail.com. And please follow, rate, comment, and review on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and YouTube. If today's conversation resonated with you and you are seeking more support in your own healing journey, if you or someone you know has been sexually assaulted, help is available. Call 800-656-HOPE. If you or someone you know is being trafficked, contact the National Human Trafficking Hotline. Text 233-733. That's Be Free. PAVE is a 501c3 nonprofit creating a world free from sexual violence and building communities to support survivors. To learn more, go to shatteringthesilence.org. Speak Out, Act, Reclaim, SOAR, is dedicated to providing a safe and empowering space for survivors of sex trafficking to reclaim their stories and stand up for themselves and each other. That's www.speakoutactreclaim.org.